Hello, and welcome to our channel, where raw emotions and shocking betrayals come to life. Thank you for joining us at Tales of Trust and Treachery. Your support makes these stories unforgettable. Drop a comment and let us know where you're tuning in from. Chicago, Texas, or maybe a cozy Midwest town like our story's setting. Today, dive into a gripping tale of a perfect marriage, shattered by lies in Maplewood, Ohio. Daniel Harper thought he had it all: a loving wife, Claire, 2 great kids, and a respected role in his tight-knit community. But beneath the surface, secrets fester, and trust crumbles. What happens when the man who protects corporate empires faces betrayal at home? Stick around for a roller coaster of deception, revenge, and redemption that'll leave you speechless. Hit that like button, and let's unravel this drama together. Maplewood, Ohio, nestled in the heart of the Midwest, hummed with the quiet rhythm of small-town life. Autumn leaves swirled across Main Street, where church bells chimed every hour and porch swings creaked on century-old homes. He sipped black coffee, waving at neighbors who called his name from picket-fenced yards. To Maplewood, Daniel was a cybersecurity consultant, founder of Harper Tech, a local firm that shielded businesses from data breaches. His warm brown eyes framed by faint crow's feet, and his firm handshake cemented his role as a community pillar, coaching Little League, chairing the county fair committee, and walking hand in hand with his wife Claire Monroe to Sunday services at Grace Lutheran Church. But beneath this polished exterior, Daniel led a shadow life, one that flickered in the glow of encrypted servers and whispered through secure phone lines. HarperTech was a carefully crafted front for his true work, orchestrating the Sentinel Grid, a covert network safeguarding corporate secrets for Fortune 500 clients. Only Thomas Reed, a retired executive and Daniel's mentor, knew the full scope of his operation. This double life demanded relentless precision: client dinners with Claire, bedtime stories for their teenagers, Emily and Noah, then solitary hours decoding digital threats in the dead of night. Claire, 40, was Daniel's perfect partner, her honey blonde hair catching the light at the Maplewood diner, where she sipped coffee and planned charity galas. Their 17-year marriage was a cornerstone of Maplewood's social fabric, woven with shared laughter over burnt casseroles, quiet evenings on the porch swing, and proud glances at Emily's debate trophies or Noah's baseball medals. Daniel admired Claire's poise at fundraisers, her knack for calming Emily's college application stress, or cheering Noah through a strikeout. But lately, her smiles felt mechanical, her green eyes dodging his during dinner. "Just work stress," she'd murmur, her fingers tightening around her phone. Daniel wanted to believe her, but the distance grew, a silent crack in their perfect facade. The county fair lit up Maplewood that evening, string lights twinkling above the Ferris wheel and cotton candy stalls. Daniel, in a red flannel shirt, tossed rings at bottles beside Noah, who grinned ear to ear. "Dad, you're hopeless," the 15-year-old teased, his voice bright with youth. Daniel's heart swelled, but his secure phone vibrated, a coded alert from the Sentinel Grid. A client's patent filings, critical to a biotech merger, had been illegally accessed, the digital trail pointing to Cole Enterprises, a rival firm in Columbus. Vincent Cole, its charismatic CEO, had met Claire last month for what she called a client dinner, her explanation vague, her tone clipped. Back home, Daniel kissed Claire goodnight, her lavender perfume sharp as she turned away in their oak-paneled bedroom. He descended to his basement office, the false bookshelf sliding shut behind him. Monitors hummed, casting blue light across his face as data trails revealed Cole Enterprises, ties to offshore accounts in the Caymans. A name emerged, Mark Sullivan, Daniel's childhood friend and Maplewood Bank's manager, who'd approved suspiciously large loans to Cole's firm. Mark, who'd stood as best man at their wedding, toasting their love with tears in his eyes, now linked to Vincent. Daniel's pulse quickened. Claire's late nights, her guarded calls, her sudden interest in Cole's projects. Could she be entangled in this? The thought sliced through him, a betrayal too raw to name. Daniel gripped the desk, his knuckles white. He'd built HarperTech to protect secrets, not to question his wife. Yet the evidence gnawed at him, each data point a splinter in his trust. But in this hidden room, the sentinel grid demanded truth. Daniel stared at the screens, the weight of his dual lives crushing his chest. Outside, the fair's music faded, leaving only the relentless pulse of his mission, and a chilling fear that the life he built was unraveling. The Maplewood diner buzzed with Saturday morning chatter, pancakes sizzling on the griddle as locals swapped gossip over steaming coffee. Daniel Harper sat in a vinyl booth, his laptop open, but his eyes scanned the room. Across the diner, Claire Monroe laughed with a group of PTA moms, her honey blonde hair catching the sunlight. To Maplewood, she was the queen of charity galas, her PR firm, Monroe Media, a beacon of small-town success. But Daniel's secure phone, tucked in his jacket, had buzzed all night with sentinel grid alerts, each one tightening the knot in his gut. The biotech patent breach traced to Cole Enterprises wasn't just a corporate hit, it was personal. In his basement office the night before, Daniel had dug deeper into the data trails. Cole Enterprises, led by Vincent Cole, had funneled payments through a shell company in the Caymans, masked as consulting fees, to Monroe Media. Claire's firm, supposedly handling local bank ads, had received $200,000 in 3 months, far exceeding her usual contracts. Worse, Daniel found encrypted emails on a hidden server, sent from Claire's office IP to an alias tied to Vincent. The messages discussed Sentinel Grid's client list, naming specific patents Daniel's network protected. His heart sank, the glow of his monitors casting shadows on the wedding photo above his desk, Claire's smile now a stranger-s. Mark Sullivan's name surfaced again, his Maplewood Bank approving Vincent's loans with no oversight. Mark, who'd grilled burgers at their 4th of July barbecues, was Claire's financial conduit, wiring her payments to an offshore account. Daniel's childhood friend, his best man, had betrayed him alongside his wife. The realization hit like a freight train, splintering 17 years of trust. But Daniel needed proof, not just data. He activated a protocol from his Sentinel Grid playbook, hacking Claire's second phone, one she kept locked in her office safe. Texts to Vincent revealed late-night meetings at a Columbus hotel, not client dinners, but clandestine exchanges about grid vulnerabilities. At the diner, Claire's laugh rang hollow to Daniel. He recalled her at their anniversary last month, toasting to our forever, while her fingers grazed her phone, likely texting Vincent. Emily, their daughter, joined Claire's table, her debate team jacket bright blue. Noah, at baseball practice, had texted Daniel a goofy selfie earlier, unaware of the storm brewing. The town adored Claire, her gala speeches, her bake sale cookies. But whispers had started. A cashier at the diner had mentioned Claire's fancy Columbus trips, and a church friend noted her new designer purse, out of place for Maplewood's modest charm. Daniel's laptop pinged. A Sentinel Grid contact, a hacker alias Shadowbite, confirmed Claire met Vincent at Cole Enterprises' office last week, photographed leaving with a USB drive. The biotech client's patent, worth $1.2 billion, was now in Vincent's hands, threatening a merger Daniel's network had sworn to protect. 3 clients had lost millions in stock value, their CEOs demanding answers Daniel couldn't give. Not yet. His hands trembled, not from anger, but from the raw ache of betrayal. Claire wasn't just cheating with Vincent, she was dismantling his life's work, endangering the network he'd built to protect. That afternoon, at Noah's baseball game, Daniel stood by the bleachers clapping as Noah hit a double. Claire arrived late, her smile tight, claiming a client call. Daniel's eyes met hers, searching for the woman he'd loved. She looked away, her fingers clutching her phone. Back home, Emily asked about college funds, her voice hopeful. Daniel nodded, hiding the truth. Claire's offshore account had siphoned $50,000 from their savings, meant for Emily's tuition. The betrayal wasn't just personal, it was a theft from their kid's future. In his basement, Daniel opened a secure line to Thomas Reed, his mentor. "Claire's working with Cole," he said, voice low. "Mark's in it too." Thomas's sigh crackled through. "You built the grid to stop threats, Dan. Now the threat's in your house. What's your play?" Daniel stared at Claire's photo, her betrayal a blade in his chest. He'd spent years guarding secrets, but none cut like this. Maplewood's trust, his kid's innocence, his own heart, all were at stake. The Sentinel grid demanded action, and Daniel knew. Claire's lies would unravel, but first, he'd gather every shred of evidence to bury her and Vincent. The game had begun, and Daniel Harper played to win. Maplewood's Sunday service at Grace Lutheran Church filled the air with organ hymns, sunlight streaming through stained glass windows. Daniel Harper sat in the pew, his flannel shirt pressed, nodding to neighbors' warm smiles. Beside him, Claire Monroe, in a navy dress, sang softly, her hymn book steady, as Emily and Noah fidgeted nearby. To Maplewood, they were the ideal family, their craftsman home a symbol of stability. But Daniel's mind churned. The weight of Claire's betrayal, uncovered days ago, burning like a coal in his chest. Her encrypted emails, hotel texts with Vincent Cole, and Mark Sullivan's shady loans weren't just a corporate plot. They were a meticulously woven web of personal and professional deception, using their marriage as a shield. In his basement office, Daniel had pieced together the full scope. Claire's role wasn't incidental, she was the linchpin. Monroe Media, her PR firm, laundered Vincent's payments, disguised as campaign fees, to fund Cole Enterprises' espionage. Vincent, the slick CEO, wasn't just stealing Sentinel Grid's biotech patent. He aimed to cripple Daniel's network, selling client data to a black market broker for $10 million. Mark, Maplewood Bank's manager, facilitated it, approving $1.5 million in loans to Vincent's shell companies, pocketing $100,000 in kickbacks. Claire's offshore account, now at $300,000, held funds siphoned from their joint savings, including Noah's baseball camp fund and Emily's college nest egg. The betrayal cut deeper. Claire and Vincent's affair, confirmed by Shadowbite's hacked hotel footage, had spanned a year, their whispers mocking Daniel's trust. Claire had played her part flawlessly. At PTA meetings, she'd gushed about Daniel's Little League coaching, deflecting suspicion. At the county fair, she'd kissed him publicly, her arm around Emily, while texting Vincent about grid vulnerabilities. Mark, too, had deceived, joining their 4th of July barbecues, joking about old high school pranks while wiring Claire's dirty money. Their deception extended to Maplewood's core. Claire's gala for the hospital wing, praised in the local paper, was a front. Vincent donated $50,000, funneled through her firm, to buy her loyalty. The town's trust, built on potlucks and church suppers, was a stage for their scheme. Monday morning, Daniel drove Emily to school, her debate team plans bubbling. "Dad, Mom's been weird, always on her phone," she said, frowning. Daniel forced a smile, his throat tight. At the diner, gossip swirled. A teller saw Claire and Vincent at a Columbus steakhouse, too close for business. A church deacon whispered about Mark's new SUV, odd for his salary. Daniel's heart pounded. Maplewood was waking up to the cracks in Claire's facade. He met Thomas Reed at a quiet park bench, away from prying eyes. "Claire's not just in it for money," Thomas warned, his voice gravelly. "Vincent's promising her a stake in his firm, VP title, big city life. She's trading your family for ambition." The words stung. Daniel remembered Claire's late-night work calls, her new silk scarves, her distant gaze at Noah's games. She'd used their marriage, their kids, their town, as props in her climb. At home, Daniel found a hidden burner phone in Claire's purse, its call log filled with Vincent's number. A voicemail from Mark, left by mistake, revealed panic. "Claire, the bank's getting audited. Vincent says we need to move the money now." Daniel's hands shook, rage mixing with grief. His best friend and wife weren't just thieves. They were architects of a lie that shattered his world. That evening, Maplewood's town hall hosted a hospital gala, Claire's latest triumph. She glided through the crowd, her laugh bright, Vincent at her side as a donor. Daniel stood by Noah, clapping mechanically, his eyes locked on Claire. A neighbor nudged him, whispering, "She's glowing lately, big plans?" Daniel's jaw tightened. The town still saw her as their star, but he saw the truth. Claire had sold their 17-year marriage, their kids' dreams, and his sentinel grid for power, and Vincent's promises. The gala's applause faded, and Daniel's resolve hardened. He'd expose their network not just to save his clients, but to reclaim his family's honor. In his basement, he opened a new sentinel grid file, labeling it Reckoning. Claire, Vincent, and Mark had built their empire on lies, but Daniel would tear it down, piece by damning piece. The Maplewood County Fair's cleanup crew swept confetti from the grounds, the Ferris wheel still as dawn broke over Ohio's rolling hills. Daniel Harper stood in his driveway, loading Noah's baseball gear into the truck, his smile masking the storm within. To Maplewood, he was the dependable dad, waving at neighbors, but his basement office hummed with a covert war. Claire's betrayal, her affair with Vincent Cole, her laundering through Monroe Media, Mark Sullivan's dirty loans, had shattered Daniel's world. The Sentinel Grid, his secret network protecting corporate secrets, was bleeding, with $1.2 billion in client patents stolen. Daniel couldn't strike blindly. He needed a plan to dismantle their scheme while shielding Emily and Noah from the fallout. Late Tuesday in his hidden office, Daniel activated Sentinel Grid's deepest protocols. He installed micro-trackers in Claire's car, syncing to his servers, mapping her Columbus trips. A keystroke logger slipped onto her office laptop via a phishing email, captured every password, every email to Vincent. Shadowbite, his hacker ally, breached Cole Enterprises' cloud, planting false data. A dummy patent file, laced with a tracker, suggesting Sentinel Grid's next client target. Vincent, greedy for another $10 million black market deal, would bite, exposing his broker. Daniel's fingers flew across keyboards, his monitors glowing with data streams, but his eyes lingered on a photo. Claire and the kids at last year's fair, laughing. The ache of her deception clawed at him, yet he played the doting husband, kissing her goodnight. Her lavender scent now bitter. Wednesday's PTA meeting saw Claire radiant, pitching a school fundraiser, while Daniel nodded, passing out flyers. "You're a saint, Dan," a mom said, unaware his phone tracked Claire's car to a Columbus hotel that morning. At home, he cooked spaghetti for Emily and Noah, their chatter about school drowning out his dread. Claire's late return, excused as a client pitch, tightened his jaw. His logger revealed her newest email to Vincent. "Grid's weak. Harper's clueless. Push the deal." The lie stung, but Daniel used it. He fed Vincent a forged Sentinel Grid memo, hinting at a client defection routed through Shadowbite's dark web relay. Vincent's reply intercepted, named a meeting with his broker in Dayton Friday. Mark's role demanded finesse. Daniel hacked Maplewood Bank's audit logs, flagging Vincent's loans as high risk, triggering a federal review. A subtle tip to a Columbus reporter, sent anonymously, linked Mark's SUV to questionable bank deals. Gossip flared at the diner, a cashier whispering, "Mark's in trouble," feds sniffing around. Daniel met Thomas Reed at a rural gas station, their trucks parked hood to hood. "You're playing with fire, Dan," Thomas warned. "If Claire senses you're onto her, she'll bolt with Vincent." Daniel's voice was steel. "She won't see me coming." Thomas handed him a burner USB with Shadowbite ES latest. Vincent ES broker was tied to a Chicago syndicate, escalating the stakes. Thursday, Claire hosted a church supper, her charm disarming Maplewood's elders. Daniel served pie, his smile tight, as a deacon muttered about Claire's city friends. The town's trust was fraying, but Daniel's facade held. His trackers showed Claire and Vincent meeting at a Dayton warehouse, where Shadowbite's drone caught grainy footage, Claire handing Vincent a drive, their hands lingering. The dummy patent had worked. Vincent's broker was there, recorded. Daniel's heart raced, not with triumph, but anguish. Claire wasn't just a thief. She'd traded their family for Vincent's world of power. Emily's college dreams, Noah's innocence, their home, all props in her game. Back in his basement, Daniel compiled the evidence. Claire's emails, Vincent's broker texts, Mark's loan records, drone footage. He encrypted it on a secure drive, labeled Checkmate. But the plan wasn't enough. Claire's lies had to collapse publicly, for Maplewood to see. Friday morning, Daniel coached Noah's practice, his laugh hollow as Claire texted him about a work trip. His logger caught her booking a flight to Chicago with Vincent, using their joint account. The audacity burned, but Daniel stayed calm, planting one last trap, a forged email from Mark to Vincent hinting at a double cross sent via Shadowbite. If Vincent bit, their alliance would crack. As Noah hit a line drive, Daniel's phone buzzed. Shadowbite. Brokers meeting Vincent tonight, you've got them. Daniel gripped the bleacher, his covert war nearing its end. Claire's empire of lies was crumbling, and he'd ensure she faced the ruins. The Dayton warehouse loomed under a gray Ohio sky, its rusted walls silent as dusk settled over the industrial park. Daniel Harper stood in the shadows, his truck parked behind a stack of crates, heart pounding like a war drum. Tonight, his Sentinel Grid's meticulous plan, trackers, forged emails, drone footage, culminated here. Claire Monroe, Vincent Cole, and Mark Sullivan, the architects of his betrayal, were inside, lured by Daniel's final trap, a forged message from Shadowbite, posing as Vincent's Chicago broker, promising a $10 million data deal. Maplewood, Ohio, with its church bells and diner gossip, felt worlds away. But Daniel carried its weight, his kids, Emily and Noah, and a shattered 17-year marriage, in every step. Inside, the warehouse was dimly lit, crates casting long shadows. Daniel had rigged hidden cameras, their feeds streaming to his secure laptop in the truck. Claire's voice echoed sharp with impatience. Vincent, where's the broker? This better not be a bust. Vincent, in a tailored suit, snapped. Relax, Claire. The grid data's worth millions. Mark, pacing, muttered. The bank's audit is closing in. We need this cash to disappear. Daniel's jaw clenched. Mark, his best man. Claire, his wife, plotting to vanish with his life's work. His burner phone buzzed. Shadowbite confirmed the cameras were live, recording every word. Daniel stepped into the light, his flannel shirt unassuming, but his eyes burned with resolve. No brokers coming, he said, voice low, steady. Claire froze, her honey blonde hair catching the faint glow, green eyes wide. Vincent sneered. Harper? What's this? Mark stammered. Daniel cut him off, tossing a USB drive onto a crate. Everything's on there. Your emails, Claire's hotel texts, Mark's loans, Vincent's broker deals. Drone footage from this warehouse 2 hours ago, you handing him the drive. He nodded at Claire, whose face drained of color. You sold our marriage, our kid's future for this. Claire's voice trembled. Dan, I didn't mean... But Vincent laughed, cold. She chose power, Harper. You're small time. Daniel's fist tightened, rage flaring, but he held steady. He played a recording from his phone. Mark's panicked voicemail. Claire, the bank's audited. Move the money. Mark's knees buckled, his SUV's shine a distant memory. Claire lunged for the USB, but Daniel grabbed it, his voice a blade. You laundered $300,000 through Monroe Media, stole Emily's college fund, Noah's camp money. You slept with him, he pointed at Vincent, while toasting our anniversary. Claire sobbed. I was trapped, Dan. Vincent promised a new life. Vincent lunged, aiming for Daniel, but Daniel sidestepped, years of Sentinel Grid training kicking in. He pinned Vincent against a crate, whispering, Your Chicago syndicate's getting this footage tonight. Vincent paled, realizing the broker trap exposed his allies. Daniel released him, turning to Claire. Why? He asked, voice breaking. 17 years, our kids, Maplewood's trust. Why? Claire's tears fell, but her words were weak. I wanted more than this town. Daniel's heart shattered, the woman he loved now a stranger. Mark, sweating, begged. Dan, we grew up together. I'll fix this. Daniel's laugh was bitter. You wired her dirty money, Mark. You toasted our wedding. He played the warehouse feed on his phone, their voices damning. Claire's deal talk, Vincent's greed, Mark's panic. Maplewood will see this, Daniel said. The diner, the church. They'll know who you are. Claire collapsed, sobbing, but Daniel's eyes were steel. He'd rigged the warehouse's Wi-Fi to stream the footage to Thomas Reed, who'd forward it to Sentinel Grid clients and a Columbus DA contact. As Daniel walked out, Claire called, "Dan, the kids!" He paused, pain raw. "You stole their future, Claire. I'll protect them now." Outside, his truck's engine roared, the warehouse fading in his rear view. Back in Maplewood, gossip was erupting. Texts from the diner's cashier spread. Claire S. in deep with some city guy. Daniel's phone pinged. Thomas confirmed the DA had the footage, and Vincent's syndicate was scrambling. The trap had worked, but victory tasted like ash. Emily's hopeful college talk, Noah's goofy selfies, their craftsman home, all tainted by Claire's lies. In his basement, Daniel stared at the checkmate drive, the weight of justice heavy. Claire, Vincent, and Mark faced ruin, but Daniel's war wasn't over. He'd rebuild his family, no matter the cost. Maplewood's main street was quiet under a crisp October dawn, leaves crunching under Daniel Harper's boots as he walked to the diner. The town, once a haven of potlucks and Little League cheers, now hummed with whispers. Claire Monroe's betrayal, her affair with Vincent Cole, laundering money through Monroe Media, and Mark Sullivan's corrupt loans, had shattered Maplewood's trust. Daniel's warehouse trap, with its damning footage, had reached the Columbus DA, and Vincent's Chicago syndicate was unraveling. Legal justice was closing in, but for Daniel, true justice lay beyond courtrooms, protecting Emily and Noah, rebuilding their family, and restoring his own heart after 17 years of lies. By Monday, the news hit. The Maplewood Gazette ran a front-page story. Local PR star linked to corporate fraud. Claire's gala posters, once proudly displayed, were torn down. At the diner, the cashier, Jenny, whispered to a trucker, "Claire's gone. Left town after the DA called." Vincent faced indictments for data theft, his Cole 28 enterprises raided by feds. Mark, stripped of his bankroll, hid from neighbors' glares, his SUV repossessed. Daniel sat in a booth, sipping coffee, his flannel shirt a quiet contrast to the chaos he'd unleashed. A church deacon slid into the seat across, saying, "You did right, Dan. Town's better without them." But Daniel's nod was heavy. Justice didn't erase the pain. At home, Emily's debate team jacket hung by the door, Noah's baseball glove on the couch. Daniel had told them the truth gently. "Mom made bad choices. She's gone for now, but I'm here." Emily, eyes red, asked, "Will we lose the house?" Daniel hugged her, voice firm. "Never. I've got us." Noah, quieter, clung to Daniel at night, scared of more loss. Daniel drained his personal savings to replace the $300,000 Claire stole, securing Emily's college fund and Noah's camp. Sentinel Grid clients, grateful for his exposure of Vincent, wired bonuses, easing the strain. But money couldn't mend the kids' trust or Daniel's fractured faith in love. Tuesday's PTA meeting was somber. Moms who'd praised Claire now avoided Daniel's gaze, their whispers sharp. How'd he not see it? Daniel handed out fundraiser flyers, his smile tight, shielding Emily from their judgment. At the church, a Sunday sermon on forgiveness stung. Daniel wasn't ready to absolve Claire, not when her offshore account had nearly ruined their kids. He met Thomas Reed at a park bench, the mentor's eyes kind but firm. "Legal justice got Vincent and Mark," Thomas said. "But you, Dan, you're fighting for something bigger. Those kids need their dad, not a ghost." Daniel gripped Noah's baseball cap, vowing to be present, not consumed by rage. Maplewood's gossip evolved. By Wednesday, Jenny at the diner told a regular, "Claire's in Chicago, shunned by her fancy friends." A church friend texted Daniel, "Mark's selling his house, moving away." The town's rejection of Claire and Mark was swift, their names erased from potluck invites and gala committees. Daniel, though, faced a quieter exile. Neighbors pitied him, Their poor Dan murmurs a reminder of his public wound. He coached Noah's team, cheered Emily's debates, and cooked spaghetti dinners, rebuilding normalcy one day at a time. In his basement, the checkmate drive sat locked in a safe, a relic of his war. Sentinel Grid offered him a promotion, but Daniel declined. He needed Maplewood's simplicity, not more secrets. Friday night, Daniel took Emily and Noah to the county fair, its Ferris wheel glowing against the stars. Emily laughed on the bumper cars. Noah won a stuffed bear. And for a moment, their pain faded. Daniel watched, heart aching but hopeful. Claire's lies had torn their family, but they weren't broken. At home, Emily showed him a college essay draft, her words fierce. Strength is rebuilding after betrayal. Daniel's eyes misted. He saw his daughter's resilience, Noah's quiet courage, and his own stubborn will. Legal justice had crushed Vincent's empire, shamed Mark, and exiled Claire. But Daniel's justice was here. Emily's smile, Noah's bear, a home still standing. Maplewood would heal, its gossip softening with time. In his truck, driving home, Daniel glanced at the kids, their chatter a fragile light. He'd lost Claire, Mark, in 17 years, but gained something fiercer, a family forged in truth. The road ahead was long, but Daniel Harper drove on, ready to rebuild, one honest step at a time. Snow dusted Maplewood's streets as November's chill settled over Ohio, the town's Christmas lights twinkling in the early dusk. Daniel Harper stood in the high school gym, setting up chairs for Emily's debate team showcase, his breath visible in the cold air. Months had passed since Claire Monroe's betrayal, her affair with Vincent Cole, the money laundering through Monroe Media, and Mark Sullivan's corrupt loans, rocked Maplewood. The legal fallout was done. Vincent was in prison, Cole Enterprises bankrupt, Mark had fled to obscurity, Claire, shunned in Chicago, was a ghost in the town's memory. Daniel had won justice, but now he faced a harder task, forging a future for Emily and Noah, healing Maplewood's wounds and finding peace within himself. The diner buzzed with cautious warmth, no longer whispering "poor Dan," but nodding at his quiet strength. Jenny, the cashier, slipped him free coffee, saying, "You're raising good kids, Harper." Daniel's smile was small but real. At home, Noah's baseball trophies lined a shelf. Sunday's church service at Grace Lutheran was packed, the choir's hymns soaring. Daniel sat with Emily and Noah, their faces brighter than months ago. The pastor's sermon on redemption hit hard. After, a deacon, Mrs. Larson, clasped Daniel's hand. "We misjudged you, Dan. You held this family together." Her words eased a knot in his chest. Maplewood was healing, its potlucks and PTA meetings regaining their old rhythm, though Claire's name was never spoken. A few neighbors, once wary, now invited Daniel to game nights, their kids playing with Noah in the snow. The town's trust, fractured by betrayal, was knitting back, stitch by slow stitch. Monday brought a surprise. A letter arrived postmarked Chicago in Claire's handwriting. Daniel's hands shook as he opened it in his basement, the glow of his monitors casting shadows. "Dan, I'm sorry," it read. "I was selfish, chasing a life that wasn't mine. I miss Emily and Noah. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I'm trying to be better." No return address, no plea to return, just raw regret. Daniel stared at the words, rage and sorrow colliding. He thought of Emily's essay on rebuilding, Noah's shy smile at the fair. Claire's betrayal had scarred them, but her absence was their shield. He burned the letter in the fireplace, its ashes a final release. Forgiveness might come, but not today. His kids came first. At Emily's debate showcase, the gym roared with applause as she argued fiercely, her poise a mirror of Daniel's resolve. Noah, in the bleachers, waved a handmade sign, grinning. Daniel's heart swelled, the pain of Claire's lies dulled by this moment. After, Emily hugged him, whispering, "Thanks for staying, Dad." Noah piled on, their laughter a fragile but fierce light. The principal, a longtime friend, pulled Daniel aside. "You're their rock, Dan. Maplewood sees it now." The words anchored him, His justice wasn't just exposing Claire's empire, but building this unbreakable bond. Friday, Daniel took the kids to the town's Christmas tree lighting, the square aglow with lanterns. Emily sipped hot cocoa, Noah tossed snowballs, and Daniel felt Maplewood's embrace, not pity, but respect. A neighbor, once distant, offered him a job teaching cybersecurity at the community college, a chance to share his Sentinel grid skills without secrets. Daniel accepted, envisioning a life rooted in truth. As the tree lit up, the crowd cheered, and Emily leaned on his shoulder. "We're okay, right, Dad?" she asked. Daniel nodded, voice thick. "Better than okay." In his truck driving home, Daniel glanced at the kids, their faces soft in the dashboard's glow. Claire's betrayal had nearly destroyed them, but they'd risen, stronger, closer, whole. Maplewood, too, had found its heart again, its lights a promise of renewal. Daniel had lost a wife, a friend, and a past, but gained a future forged in honesty. The road stretched into the snowy night, and Daniel Harper drove forward, his family's love lighting the way, ready for whatever dawn awaited.